Hello everybody, hope you're all doing fantastically well. Let me adjust the microphone here and we're back in business. Hope you're all doing really well. It's Connor here. We are back with some more Leeds United news and I do want to say this. We're nearly getting into the summer months. Everybody's excited. We kind of are into the summer months really, aren't we, when it's coming to content, to Leeds United content. So yeah, it is kind of a rumour millie. The rumour mill is coming back and it is going to be every day. I know you're excited, but just, calm down. We're going to be back here with more content throughout, as I've said, the summer months. It's not going to sort of ebb and flow when Leeds United aren't playing. It's going to hopefully G up in whatever division we're in. Hopefully we're going to be signing players. There's going to be director of football appointments. There's going to be changes at board level. It's going to be a massive, massive summer for Leeds United, and there is no better place than One Leeds to get all of your instant news. So this is what we're going to be doing, guys. We're going to start it today. We're going to try keep it going, life permitting, but I hope you're all doing fantastically well. We're going to be talking about a certain player who may be unleashed this weekend. Would you unleash him? Should we unleash him? It's a conversation to be had, sort of in light of performances in maybe the under-21s and whatever. We're also going to be discussing a certain player who I think Leeds should be going for if we do stay in the Premier League. We're going to be speaking about a certain Leeds United player who is acquiring interest from a very surprising team in this division. And yeah, we're going to get into all of that good stuff. So before we get started, I'm just going to get your comments in. Cold in Sydney, says Funster. I somehow doubt that, my friend. I think cold in Sydney is about 13 degrees. Morning, Connor from sunny York. Hello, Gordon. One Leeds Fan Channel. Just wanted to say how great your content is. Keep up the good work, buddy. Thank you, Tom. That's a lovely, lovely comment. Thank you so much. Ryan says, yes, Connor, start Rutter. Potentially. Morning, Connor, says Hannah. Hi, Hannah. Hope you're all good. Match on together from Leeds. From Leeds? From Wales. From Wales, of course. Let's get into it, shall we, everyone? So, I want to start off with the news that we were speaking about the other night when it came to Leeds United and when it came to next season and when it comes to this summer month. And I've not really spoken to you guys about, the changing picture that could potentially happen with Leeds at this moment in time when you're looking at changing ownership, changing manager, changing player, changing staff. And it's going to be a massive move in parts. But the positive, in my opinion, and what we've not spoken about enough on the One Leeds Fan Channel when it comes to this arrangement that Radrizzani has actually got right, it is the 50 to 60% reduced wage structure at Leeds United in contracts if we do go down to the Championship. Now, finance expert Dan Plumley has actually said that it's the right thing to do in this current climate, and Leeds are doing it the completely proper way. Whereas you look at Leicester, you look at Everton, and that's going to be, absolutely massive for them because apparently in a lot of their relegation clauses, their contracts, they do not have these clauses. The revenue, if you look at it, everybody, when it comes to Leeds United, it's going to be around 30% we lose if we go down to the Championship. It's amalgamation of chaos, really, when you go down there. But getting your house in order, getting your cards in order is absolutely critical to be able to stay above the parapet even in the Championship, because we all know that when we've been down in that Championship, it's absolute chaos. Anybody can go up, anybody can go down, and we've seen that in recent years. I think it's absolutely critical that they do have these clauses in the contracts. I think from what I understand, there's a lot of relegation clauses. From what we've seen as well, with Dan Plumley and a lot of financial expert reports, Leeds have those 50 to 60% clauses in the reduction clauses in many players' contracts when we go down, which is great. Whether or not that means certain individuals are going to think, screw this, I need to move on, whatever, transfer requests, they can happen when you put clauses like that in contracts. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there, but it's good to see from that standpoint that Leeds do have their cards, I should say, in order. I'm just going to get through a couple of your comments. Morning, Connor. Salter T says, seems like an important fork path in the oh god, this is like a Harry Potter novel. Seems like an important fork in the path of destiny is ahead. Fantastic sentence. Either we stay up, new owners and investment, or we don't, and we stagnate as we have for the past 2 years. I agree. I really do agree. Morning, Connor. Morning, Rich. Hi, guys. Match on together, says Tita Mech. Morning, Connor. Danny's in the building. Morning, Connor. NFFC. Morning, Connor. What did you get to the Ailing post? I wanted to talk about that as well. I will get onto that. Please remind me. But yeah, so altogether, when it comes to the financial side of it, I'm in a good mental position when it comes to Leeds Leeds' sort of order right now. Now, I'm a little bit uncertain with many things, many things, but I think those wages are absolutely massive. You see so many clubs going down and they are absolutely battered by it's a cataclysmic sort of fall because of the wages and the structure of those wages. Let's be right, everybody. When we last went down, we had Seth Johnson on about 120 grand a week and he couldn't play. So it's not as bad as that. And we did bounce back nearly for the first time when we went down, playoff final against Watford. I was there. God, awful day. Lost 3-0. However, we bounced back in that season when we were in absolute financial meltdown. So that is a positive. We're not going to be in that position again. So the problem for me is the director of football. Now, I've heard a lot of people say that this isn't important. It's key to know what division we're in. That's absolute poppycock. That's absolute rubbish. Leeds have to get a director of football in ASAP. As we mentioned, I keep saying this, but getting the cards in order, getting the right players, having targets when it comes to managers, having, the director of football in this system when it comes to Leeds United is going to be in charge of everything because the owner, I don't think, is that in tune with what's going on. The director of football, as we've seen with Victor Orta, is going to be absolutely monumental. So you have to get the right person in. Who that person is, I don't know, but I want to see it sooner rather than later. If Leeds go down, let's not forget, everybody, the Championship season starts before the Premier League season. This director of football is going to have to make absolutely massive moves. Get the manager in, the manager's targets, potentially staff, sort absolutely everything. They are in charge. They really are almost the controller of the club if you do have a sporting director. That's the reason clubs have when it comes to everything football. So that's definitely something to take into consideration. Modern Everyone says, Rich, Paul Gray, 2006 Millennium Stadium, mate, I remember me and my dad and my granddad, it was absolutely terrible. About 60,000 Leeds fans down there, about 5,000 Watford fans, and they battered us, absolutely battered us. Morning, Rich, I think we said hi as well. But yeah, let's go poach whoever is in, is Brighton or Brentford's DOF. Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? 5th of August is the Championship start date. So that's exactly it, Paul. So you look at the time, like what date are we on now? And we've still got, 2 games left? So it's the 17th of May. The 5th of August is not far away. It really isn't for player acquisition, for managerial acquisition, to get that structure properly right at Ellen Road. So that's definitely something to, to get into your thought process. But positives when it comes to the wages, but there is a lot to do at Ellen Road, a lot to do. And sooner rather than later, a director of football comes in is a positive for Leeds. I'm a little bit worried at the minute because behind the scenes, as we'll get onto when it comes to Luke Ayling's post, etc., it seems to be the structure behind the scenes still isn't at that elite level, in my opinion. Okay, so now a lot of you will have seen that on the title of the video. This isn't, I never do clickbait, because what you do is with clickbait, it's like you get people to click on and then you don't talk about anything to do with that. I am going to talk about everything to do with the question mark on the thumbnail, as always, hence it not being clickbait. But yeah, the player that I was going to talk about is Jorginho Rutter. Now, a lot of you guys will be turning around going, oh, here he goes. He's just doing this for a video. Oh, God, what's he waffling on about now? I just think when it comes to Wildcards, now, the guy has been bought for 35 million. Is it not worth it in these last 2 games to throw a wildcard? There is, what would you guys do? A wildcard like Rutter, teams aren't expecting it. We've seen that he has got ability there. I don't know whether or not it's, if it's attitude, if it's something else, the reason why it's not really working for him now at Leeds United. He's barely featured. But is this a time to throw him in? I'm not saying throw him in from the start. I'm saying, is there a moment in time right now where we throw him in for a big portion of the game and we use him to impact the game? We do see the same almost scripted substitutions when it comes to the forward offensive line all the time. Would it be worth throwing someone like Rutter into the equation for West Ham, into the equation for Tottenham Hotspur, them not maybe expecting what Leeds are going to do there? Because I think you do get teams researching other teams, and I do think we know what substitutions Leeds are going to make on a game-by-game basis when it comes to our offensive line. Would you guys... we looked confident last night. Watched a little bit of the game last night. Looked confident. Obviously, we saw Matteo Joseph, who looks absolutely on fire at this moment in time. But is there a question there whether or not Leeds should include someone like Rutter? I'd be interested to hear what you guys think on that one. Rutter, I don't know. And that's it, Norman, though, isn't it? It's you don't know. It's the unpredictability. It's the, as I keep saying, the wild card. Is that something that could disrupt a maybe not fully strength West Ham defence? Is it something that could maybe unearth a few weaknesses in that Tottenham back line with Ryan Mason? A Ryan Mason Tottenham side who we've already beaten, by the way. And football AMC's right. Everyone slates in the man needs minutes. I mean, you're right, and I'm not taking this as a direct thing, by the way, AMC. But I do see a lot of slating online. I've never slated him because I think he's a kid and it's not his fault and he never gets minutes. If you're getting 5-10 minutes per game, what's the point? You're not going to be able to build up anything. You're not going to be able to build up momentum, confidence, whatever. Joe Madigan said he looked brilliant in the under-21s. He does panic defenders and just runs at them. Joe, you're absolutely bang on. That's an excellent point. He's direct. We saw that when he played against Accrington. Gets the ball, runs at defenders. Is that not what you can be at any level? It can be Paul Mullin at Wrexham. It can be, it can be whoever. The reason I pulled him out my hat is because he's just been on the news. But these direct players cause defenders at any level to panic. And if Rutter is that, maybe there is a question there to start him. I don't know. Game changer, says Andrew Fournay. Maybe, potentially. Very says, would be nice to see Rutter given a chance to contribute in the last 2 games. There's a reason we spent 35 million on him. And this is the thing, I don't solely look at Victor Orta's acquisition when it comes to him and go, that's absolutely appalling. That's a shocking addition. I look at that addition and think there's a reason Victor Orta went for him. Victor Orta is not I don't rate him in terms of the percentage that he's got right when it comes to Leeds United. And I think he should have been sacked so long ago. However, when you do look at some of the players that have been brought in, there's clearly potential there. The potential's been brought in to sell on for the future. That was his whole remit. So there is clearly a player in there. So I don't know. Maybe it was, and that's it. Pat P, 35 million in the January window. But that's something we just have to deal with, mate. And wouldn't you rather utilise that? What's the point? You might as well utilise that with 2 games to go. The Hail Mary, as we should say. He's great at turning plays as well. Leads into them and flicks the ball around. He did it a few times the other night. And I know it sounds daft, but the most we saw of Rutter against Accrington, which is probably the most minutes he's had, he was doing that, So maybe that is a little bit of a secret weapon that Leeds have. Ryan has disagreed. Rutter is horrendous. I'm sorry, but it was the truth. He was poor in the under-21s game. Do you think it's interesting how different people see different things? Yeah, and that's fair enough. That's absolutely fair enough. It's football subjective, isn't it? Vavy says, does he have a relegation clause? I'd be stunned, mate, if he didn't. I'd be stunned. I really would. Anyway, the next bit of news. Brighton are in the picture to sign Leeds United player for 25 million euros. You wouldn't believe this, but apparently De Zerbi is intrigued in Weston McKennie. Apparently, Brighton have been long-term admirers. An Italian publication has said that the Brighton manager is intrigued by the player, with a report adding that Weston has always shown great qualities, but has never been able to fully express them. De Zerbi will blow that up from the report. Now, this is interesting. Obviously, De Zerbi is Italian, and he'll have probably seen Weston McKennie at Juventus as well. Is that a move that potentially could happen? Could it fabricate in the future? Imagine that. Imagine if McKennie is signed by Brighton for a better fee. You can't imagine he's going to be sticking in the Juventus lineup for much longer. Obviously, they did let him go out on loan to Leeds United. Is he favoured there? You probably say no, as I've just mentioned. But Brighton, what a turnaround that would be. Obviously, there is potential that they'll lose McAllister, Caicedo, a lot of that midfield, a lot of that midfield hierarchy there. So is there going to be a point where they do invest in a lot of midfielders? And we're going to get onto that just in a second. But Weston says Ryan would thrive in the right position as Juventus. He played in an attacking 3 behind the striker, not a DM. Yeah, and a lot of people were saying at the weekend that free role that he had was where you saw the best of him. And I think you kind of saw that against Forest as well, when he's not just completely disciplined in that 2 in the midfield. If he is able to move forward, he is slightly better, and I think you do see that. Stay up and get McAllister. I don't think McAllister will be coming to Leeds, Norman. I really don't, in the state that we're in, even if we stay up, to be honest with you, pal. So yeah, now something I want to put to you guys. Now, if we are to stay up in this division, would you sign and would you go for James Milner? This is a conversation me and my dad have had multiple times. Now, Leeds United is in Milner's hearts. Liverpool constantly talk about, how Milner, anytime Leeds play at Liverpool, he's always there saying how great Leeds are, how much of a Leeds fan he has. Klopp's commented on it. I know Brighton are in pole position. I don't think everything's been signed, sealed, and delivered when it comes to it. But he's also he's played. He's still clocked up. I mean, he's played 330 times. Anfield, 8 years. He's third in the list of all-time Premier League appearances. The Mail report that Brighton have been strongly linked with Milner, the favourites to get him, but said Leeds should not be ruled out. Now, this obviously links into the director of football, because Victor Orta would not do this. And I know a lot of you guys will be saying, Connor, it's never going to happen. However, if the right director of football came in, we've been speaking about Stuart Webber, who is a Leeds fan, ex-Huddersfield, ex-Norwich. If the right director of football does come in and Leeds stay in the Premier League, I know we don't want to be talking about this right now, I think James Milner would come to Leeds. A lot of you guys will say, oh, he's too old. James Milner, I think, would do a fantastic job at Leeds United. He's still first in the bleep test when it comes to Liverpool every time. They reckon he's an unbelievable professional. He's got experience. He's won nearly everything. He's a massive Leeds fan. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to leadership. Leadership isn't always based on age, but it helps, because in that period of time when you've been playing football for Leeds United, Newcastle, Aston Villa, Man City, Liverpool, you've gained a plethora of experience, and he's a Leeds fan. Why would you not go and get that done? That is a smart deal. He would be playing for Leeds. He would give everything for Leeds. I think it is an unbelievable. That would be one of the perfect signings. I know he's 36, 37 years of age, but when you are performing like you were performing every single week for Liverpool, when you're coming off the bench, I know you can be a bit slow on the turn, but James Milner would slot right into our side for me. And I think when you're looking at Brighton, who are going for him, I think if you've got Leeds on the table for Milner, Brighton on the table in the Premier League, he comes to Leeds. And that is not because Leeds are a better outfit than Brighton. It is not. But the amount of times you hear Milner talking about Leeds, I think he wants to end his career here. And I think it would be a really smart move on a 1-year rolling contract to get him in, see what he's like. And I think he'd want to help Leeds. I really, really do. Leader, legend, winner, exactly. And it's exactly what we need, says CJJ. Milner got Scholes levels of dedication to training and fitness, head down, work hard, job done. Doesn't drink, doesn't do anything like that. He never has done. And he's the ultimate professional. You know, a lot of Liverpool fans are going to be sad to see him go. Love to see Milner at Leeds, maybe not for the quality, but the game management and possibly a future coaching role. Exactly, James. Winner mentality. Milner is director of football. Leeds' arrogance on signing players is shocking. One guy said we should get McAllister. We had alluded. Connor, we don't know who the owners are going to be, and the director of football will be different depending on the owners. Well, yeah, obviously, yeah, definitely. I mean, there is talks that apparently Radrizzani is going to be selling Leeds United on, regardless of where Leeds are, and he's going to be putting everything into going and buying Sampdoria. Apparently, he's done, but. However, you know, if the owners do come in, the 49ers or whatever, and we get a structure, and let's say they do hire someone like Stuart Webber who knows the league, that makes complete sense. And then Stuart Webber, being a Leeds fan, is then able to buy someone like James Milner. I think the thing is, I think a lot of us have got to switch our mindsets from being in the Victor Orta mindset where everything is a European prodigy. Hopefully now with the new director of football, we get someone who comes in, you know, is able to actually pick gems from the Premier League and the Championship and really be able to see a deal, properly see a deal, and utilise almost a Moneyball strategy. But I think James Milner is a little bit of an outlier there. You know, he's not a young player, but I think he's everything that Leeds need at the minute, to be honest with you. Milner loves a Ribena. He does give Milner the armband. He'd come in and be captain straight away, wouldn't he? He really does. Scott says all these conversations about signings are pointless if we're a championship club. Yeah, and you're right, Scott, hence why we said at the start that it all depends on us being a championship club. But guys, I'm going to leave it there anyway. I'm not going to waffle on for much longer. If you have enjoyed the show, please leave us a like, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be doing this every day. The Room Mill is going to be back in full force. I really appreciate your support, and we'll see you in a bit. Cheers.